Hey guys, here we are in the Volkswagen Jetta for a track guide at Oulton Park International. For this track guide, I'll do the first lap, pointing out each corner in like slow motion and in detail, and then the second lap I'll do it in full speed. So as we start the lap here, coming off the final corner. And as we approach this first corner, I'm going to go in slow motion and look on the left-hand side. We have this white board, and then we also have some banners on the wall here. The banners are a good place to start braking. You can see we're going down to about 50% brake pressure. Still holding that downshift from 6th down to 5th. We're turning in, trying to get the apex around the end of this curb so you get as close as possible. And then back on the power, trying to not run too wide on exit, maybe get 2 tires like on those curbs, but not too much wider than that. Also get a 1x, and then exiting, go back to full speed here, approaching this long left-hander, trying to move the car over to the right-hand side of the track, all the way over as far as you can, and then see we're onto the brakes, half brakes trailing off a bit here down to 5th gear, and look on the left hand side, you see how the curve is like dots and then it changes into like lines right about here, aiming to apex right when it's in like those lines, and it goes back to these like circles. That's when you're kind of like moving wide onto the exit of the track. So again, not using too much of the curve on exit, also get a 1x. And so again, mostly focusing on just apexing on the middle, not turning in too early for that long left-hander. Approaching this left-hander here, and look on the right-hand side, you have this piece of tarmac. That's a good point, like at the end of it, to judge when to let off the gas. So let off, no brake. Maybe you could like tap the brake if necessary, but partial throttle. And then we're apexing like the end of this curve here. And again, running wide. Obviously, we're at the right-hand side of the track for a right-hander, so that's not the best place to be. So we're trying to bring the car over to the left-hand side. Looking on the left-hand side of the track for a brake point, that's the end of the tire barrier. That's when we starting to get on the brakes. About it looks like about full braking. I would say you'd want to aim for like 80% if possible. Down from 6th to 4th gear. We're trailing off the brakes here. Trying to get as close as to the inside curve as possible. If you hit that like mound of grass, it'll hit your car wide, so you don't want to get too close, but trying to hug it as good as you can. You see a bit of brake here. I think that was just some problematic things with the pedals, but you don't want to have that brake problem again. Using all the curb on exit, hopefully I can get that fixed though, as you can see. Then as we're approaching this next corner, you'll look on the track and you see up ahead there's like this white piece of tarmac, I guess, and that's your good braking zone for this next complex. So it's like as soon as that white line starts, that's when you're getting on the brakes. 50% using all the curb on the left-hand side here, really attacking this corner. Then trying to trail off the brake that we can get the car rotated around this tire barrier, back to full power. Very easy to run wide on the grass here, so I'm just trying to turn as much as possible just to maintain the car on the track, just using the curbing instead of the grass. Back to full power, up to 5th gear. Should be up to 6th gear by the end of the straight. Then good braking zone for this next corner, looking on the left-hand side of the track. You see the 100 board. We're going to be braking at the curbing right after the 100 board. So there's the curbing, hard onto the brakes, about 50% braking down to 5th gear. Trying to turn in, but if you hit this curb too hard like I did here, you can see the car gets launched. So you might want to try to avoid getting launched like that. It doesn't hurt you too bad, just can sometimes mess up the landing and then the car slides a bit. But again, using all the curbing on exit. And then back to full power, up to 6th gear. Again, we have this white line here. This is very important. Just follow that white line almost like a racing line. And it's also a good braking zone for this next corner up here. You'll see it's continuing all the way, and then as soon as it ends, so it's ending right about here, that's a good braking zone for this next corner. You can see getting on the brakes, about 50% brake pressure, down to 5th gear. And this is like a double apex corner almost. You're trying to turn in for this first part. You can see partial gas, and still not, and then back to full gas, but you have to wait a while. But you don't want to actually hit this curb. You want to get as close as possible. If you hit the curb, it'll shuffle your car wide. So really focusing on apexing on the first corner, or the first part of that. Back to full power, approaching the final corner here. And looking on the left-hand side of the track, we have this white sign, like the arrows. As soon as our car clears at like a car length after, that's when we're starting to get on the brakes at 75% braking, down to 4th gear, and this corner it's pretty long, even though it doesn't look like it. Again, apexing right around the end of the curbing here, trying to turn as much as possible, but we're like going uphill. The car is really understeering. You'll see we're not really unwinding the wheel at all. We're keeping all that turning until the very end, and as soon as we get to the exit, that's when we're unwinding the wheel, using all the curbing on exit. And then back to full power, up to 5th, up to 6th, just hold the very left side of the track, and that's a lap at Oulton Park. So now I'll play that lap at full speed. So that's a 148.401, which put me second in class, or I guess it was first in class actually. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the track guide and good luck in your race.